Good morning everybody, hope you're doing really well. Today I'm in the beautiful county of Cambridgeshire, just shy of actually the border of Lincolnshire in Maxey. We're here to do a wonderful, as you probably guessed, because you probably see on my channel loads, haven't you? You're probably thinking, oh, this looks familiar, if you haven't guessed from the title. A WW2 decoy site. Let's go check it out. Remain optimistic, not been in there yet, and then I'll tell you all about the history when we get in there. Fingers crossed, come on. Well, welcome back everyone. I'll try and get in the lights just a little bit. Oh, there we go. Welcome to Maxey WW2 Decoy Site. What an interesting one this is. Like many a decoy site that we seem to discover, how sort of familiar and yet unique in their own way they are. And obviously, if you've checked out my channel, we've done a lot of these, and I still think there's loads more to do. The reason why I like doing these is because it really highlights the fact that the people in here were technically some of the most underrated people that really history has seemed to sort of like put to the side a little bit. Because long story short, if you've not seen any of my decoy sites, the idea of a bombing decoy was to deflect enemy bombing to a field or close by, or an area where it won't be doing any damage. And the idea with this was it would have been powered by generators, and the people would have had to have come in here and basically lure the Nazi German aeroplanes, bombers over, so they didn't have to bomb anything vital. Now in this case, this is interesting because of the sort of fact of the design really, and also the main point of, if you haven't seen yet, the fact there is an ROC post that was built a little bit later, and my god did I rant on that one, so stay tuned for that one, that'll be fun for all of you. Basically this was used for enemy bombing to deflect from Royal Air Force Wittering Airfield, so RAF Wittering. Excuse my pronunciation of that as we sort of explore. It was a Q type, so this was it. So they were sort of like designated different lettering, again depending on how many times you've seen my videos. Q type basically meant it was used for night time. So the idea is that they would simulate the airfield at night as it was being attacked. So the Germans would be like, oh, that's where we've got to go, and then sort of hopefully sort of go over there and go, oh look, that's clearly where we've been bombing already, let's go over there, and that's clearly where we've got to be. So instead of bombing the actual airfield, and obviously this was one that was designated a Q type, which meant night time. There's different abbreviations for them, but yes, this was labelled as a Q type. Again, I apologise. Again, if you're not familiar with my channel, I do suffer from anxiety and mental health, and so I sometimes stutter, my brain goes a little bit, so please forgive me on that. I get so excited that I sometimes stutter because I just want to say so much. We know that this was in operation from June 1940, and it came to an end in August 1942. Normally they had a shorter shelf life than this, normally about a year. This one's got maybe an extra year or so on top of most. Not all the time, let's not just sort of say that for a genetic sort of thing, just in case some of you do sort of moan at me. We know that this is really the control room. We know this is the control room because it's got the escape hatch. So the idea was that you would have been stationed in here, you might have had a telephone, The idea is that you would have got heads up, right, okay, we think they're coming over, quickly set fire, run outside, set fire to these sort of like, there would have been like big oil tanks, basically, that would have been set fire to sort of like these like baskets, basically. It's probably the only best way of describing it. And it was to simulate them being attacked. And what they would have done was they also would have simulated the runway lights and other things depending. And obviously it depends on the operation form. You would have had civil types as well, which would have been used to deflect from major towns. We know probably one of the most incredible ones was Swindon, which we've actually had the privilege of exploring. And there would have been more than just one. There would have been maybe a couple of them that would have been here. But yes, here we are. It's, like I said, the size would have varied, and yeah, there was another one as we know, because I said there's more than one, there was another one that would have been around. And yeah, basically that's it. We know, like I said, from June 1940 through to August, 12th August 1942. I just wanted to check because I realised there was a date there, which is very cool. And yeah, that's it, everybody. So normally you get them split. So like I said, you come through. Normally you have the controlled section. We know that it's normally a controlled section because that's our escape hatch. And then normally on the opposite side, you get really where the generators would have been. Now, generators would have been used predominantly for anything electrical that they would have used, so i.e. telephones, etc., etc. The simulated lights that they would have used, or the oil, would normally have been like these sort of ignition triggers. So think of like a basic form of like a firework, if that makes sense, just sort of like lighting that firework up and it's sort of making a big old, sort of like big bonfire, really. Like I said, that's pretty much it. We've seen them all in different cases. We've actually seen some where the generators have actually been in the control building, or the control side of it. But this is it. Is it the best condition one? No. It's not the worst. And in fact, actually, on this one, there was records of there actually being more parts of the structure that would have been situated here. See, the ladder has obviously been well loved. That was a joke, by the way. Completely bent all the rings. But again, it gives you an idea that if you've never been to a decoy site, you normally expect the ladder to be in that way. Again, I'm really conscious, everybody. I'm so sorry because we've done so many decoy sites. I desperately don't know. You might be new to the channel, and if you're new to the channel, then yeah, please check out loads before. We've gone into lots of detail in previous ones as well. So if you're not, and some of you hopefully are familiar with my channel, you'd be quite familiar with it. Normally the rule of thumb, not always, but let's just say this for basic terminology, in World War II, vents normally up, electrical cables, piping, etc., normally on the lower section. So actually, this is what's interesting about this one. We would normally expect the pipe, we'll have to find out where the pipes came from. There's another hole there, which again would indicate a vent rather than actual a pipe itself. We don't know this is a generator room. It could be. It's hard because there's no plinth, but there's also little holes and crevasses down there which would indicate where the piping would have gone down. Let me just show you. I would have turned my torch on, but actually, to be fair, you can pretty much see it without, can't you? Look, you can see that, can't you, everybody? There you go. You don't need that. Anything original that survives apart from the brickwork? No. You've got the frame of the doors, which is quite common. You can see the sort of hatch. You can see that, there you go. Yeah, and again, I suppose really what separates this one into being really interesting is that after this, you've got the ROC post right next door. So we've already explored that, so we're good in that one. Just depends which one, when these come out, really. So, come with me, I'll take you. We're going to head out now. This would have been the blast wall. Ignore the perimeter fence. That is Cold War, I reckon, because it's actually surrounding the ROC post, which is in that copse just there. Like I said, we've got the dates. We know that really, like I said, this is a perfect location for if you want to do a decoy site, because the point is you need it to be out the way. You want the Germans to bomb, Nazi Germany, you wanted them to bomb well away from anything that would do any harm. So like I said, when you've got these fields, marshy fields, any fields that are out of the way, they're prime. The idea is you take it away. You take away the German from bombing any strategic deep light sites, whether it's military or whether it is civil. So like I said, some were also used to sort of deflect from actual civilian places. In fact, actually, there's one in Peterborough. They actually use one to deflect from Peterborough, actually a couple. And normally, rule of thumb is that there's normally more than just one of these that would have been used. You would have had maybe a ring of them, for example. I mean, for example, just off the top of my head, we did it a long time ago, but we did a Swindon one to protect Swindon, because Swindon was actually quite industrial. So the idea was to protect Swindon itself. But there would have been a few of them, or a couple at least, to normally just deflect, so that it would have been like, oh okay, we should be bombing over here. You would have daytime ones as well, and they would have normally been replicas. You would have had dummy airfields as well, which you normally would have been, sometimes you would have had like, especially in aircraft's case, you would have had like replicas of like Spitfires or Hurricanes or stuff like that, that anything to deflect. That was the main point. It was decoy by name for a reason. Decoy Site. Sorry, can you tell I'm a bit geeky about this stuff? But yeah, condition of this one, I mean, it's alright. There's some debate as to what these type things are. Again, I've not seen, I don't really know. I mean, there's some little sort of wells here, holes, I don't know. But like I said, normally you would have a trough and it would basically be the fuel that would pump out onto these sort of like baskets. You'd set fire to these baskets in essence. And then obviously that would simulate an attack. And then the Germans would be like I said, oh, what's that? This is clearly where we need to be bombing instead. We might be a little bit off. And then that's where they would have hopefully have gone. Now the debate is how effective they were. Now we know that we've done probably one of the most effective ones, which is in Portsmouth. Now feel free to check that out in the channel. Type in Portsmouth Decoy Site, because we know that that one actually was used, and it was used quite effectively in a strange way to protect Portsmouth, the harbour itself, the port. It was only once. I mean, this is why it was such the debate was how effective really were they. But my main argument, regardless of all that, the fact of the matter is, if you were stationed here, it might as well have been a different kind of braveness, let's just say, because really you're wanting the enemy to attack you. Think about that for a second. When you build this, the whole purpose of this, why I'm obsessed with like recording these, the people were here. Can you imagine? Right, your job is to be in the firing line to deflect, to stop other people from getting even more blown up. You know that really you've got sometimes minutes to actually quickly light these baskets, to come back in, take shelter and hope that you don't get hit yourselves. It's a different kind of mindset that in a modern generation I think we don't really appreciate as much, and it's something why it's so unsung, really, I think personally. I mean, when you type in decoy sites or the history of decoy sites, it's few and far between, and it's always a learning curve for me to understand, for example, what these little sections were. Not really seen these normally. And normally, again, on these ones, you'd normally see the piping and venting a lot clearer to, like I said, the troughs. Normally you'd see the sort of well of a trough, which would stand above and then obviously put the pipes through. Those pipes would sequentially go into these individual baskets. There is a lot of debris around here, and you can see that obviously wildlife has taken over. You can see that most of all the brickwork that's here was part of the decoy site, and it is obviously clearly seen better days. But yeah, the fact that this still exists is to stand up on it, might as well. You can see down on the escape hatch again. Apologies to the wind, everybody. But yeah, there we go. Well, there you go. Whew. Well, everyone, as I try and figure out where I'm going to go down. Oh, in immortal words of Phoenix history, thank you so much for coming along with me. Stay tuned either way for whatever's going to come in whatever order. The RSC post, I have a major moan about that. Sorry, not sorry. It needs to be said. But also for this wonderful decoy site, depending on whatever. As a recording this, that RSC post is done. I know the effect of that, hence the rant. So yeah, whatever order we put these out in. Feel free to spread the word of the channel. Much love to all of you out there, because history matters. I think we can safely say it does on this. The remarkable and yet sad legacy of these in the state that most of them unfortunately are in these days. Anyway, take care everybody. Much love to all of you out there, because history matters. Does, doesn't it? And of course I'll see you very, very soon. Feel free to spread the word of the channel. Much love to all of you out there. Are you ready? Let's do it. Kapow.